Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next on the GM, the Ravens season in review, the good, the bad, the weird. Do me a quick favor, hit like. If it is your first time checking out the GM, hit subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's talk about it. So everything's in the books now. All the scoring, all the plays, all the analysis, all of the press conferences, all of the questions, both answered and unanswered, they're all in the books. And when we take a look back, I believe we see a measure of good, a measure of bad, and a whole lot of weird. And I believe the weird leans into how this season could end so abruptly. Let's get into it. The bad things that happened for this Baltimore Ravens team in the year 2023, ending in the year 2024, we can absolutely go back to the end of last season and the bad ending to the wild card round. The Baltimore Ravens had played the Cincinnati Bengals even, and we were absolutely getting ready to go in for a score and put the nail in the coffin. Tyler Huntley takes the snap, tries to dive into the end zone. The ball gets knocked out, and Sam Hubbard returns it for a 98-yard touchdown. And the season was over. Bad ending, right? And when we fast forward and we look at some more bad, we look at this past Sunday's game, the AFC Championship, and the defense put on a solid performance, a good performance, but the offense put on a lackluster performance. But the way that the game went was bad. Lack of a game plan, lack of adjustment, lack of game management, lack of time management, lack of good play calling. All bad. And the season ended. So both the 2023 season ended poorly, and the 2024 season also ended poorly, regardless of all the good that had happened in the season. But let's not ignore the good. You see, a few good things that were good from this past season is that the Baltimore Ravens got a new play caller. The Baltimore Ravens changed the wide receiving group, highlighted by Zay Flowers. The Baltimore Ravens had a great defense, a historical defense, winning the Triple Crown, although that's not a real award, but they won the Triple Crown of defenses. Some could say they were one of the best defenses in all of NFL history. The Baltimore Ravens went 13-4, winning the AFC North, winning the number one overall seed, clinching a first round bye, winning a divisional round game against the Houston Texans. All things that were good. And maybe in a day or so, Lamar Jackson will be named to his second MVP. All good things. But that good in the middle was capped by some bad at the end of last season and capped by more bad at the end of this season. So that leaves us with the weird. And I think that weirdness kind of lands us in a place that kind of helps us understand how this season could end weirdly as well. Not only did the season end bad, but it also ended weirdly. So let's talk about the weird. The Baltimore Ravens went into last season after the loss, or last offseason after the loss, without a quarterback. The Baltimore Ravens had some quarterback options: Tyler Huntley, Pro Bowler; Lamar Jackson, Pro Bowler, former Pro Bowler, but no quarterback was under contract. The Baltimore Ravens allowed free agency to start without having Lamar Jackson signed to a long-term deal. Weird, right? Because how do you start your off season in free agency without your franchise guy signed? Weird. And things got so weird that we learned at the end of March that Lamar Jackson had requested a trade some 3 weeks earlier. Kind of weird, huh? And even though Lamar Jackson released that news, made it public, it was several more weeks all the way up until draft night before they got a deal done, which had to happen. It had to happen on draft night because you can't go into the draft not having a quarterback under contract. More weirdness. Nobody runs an off season that way. You either go into free agency looking for a quarterback or you go into the draft to draft a quarterback, but you don't go into both without one, right? Weird. Okay. So on draft night, we did some good things. That's when we picked up Zay. We picked up the eventual replacement for Patrick Queen and Trenton Simpson. I believe that Patrick Queen will move on and Trenton Simpson will take his place, possibly. Big shoes to fill. But uh, we drafted a couple of more guys, one of which, Kabalu Kelly, ends up in Seattle, where he awaits his new head coach in Mike McDaniel. Um, uh, and then we also draft a offensive lineman who was not going to be serviceable because he was injured. That's 2 years straight that we would draft a player that would not be on the field for us in that season. Weird, huh? Um, and I know we can say that, oh, that makes sense. He's going to be a good player, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, we needed offensive line help and depth at the moment that we drafted him, not 1 year later. Anyway, more weirdness. So we complete the draft and we go into our offseason workout, and the Baltimore Ravens continue to pick up wide receivers. Of course, we signed Odell to an exponential amount of money that he would not earn. Uh, $18 million overall, $15 million guaranteed, 3 times as much as the New York Jets were offering him, which is the only other public deal that we learned about. Kind of weird, huh? But that was because we didn't have a quarterback. Therefore, no wide receiver would want to make a commitment to come, right? Uh, so more weirdness. So then we go into kind of the offseason workout, and after the final OTA, Tyus Bowser comes up injured. But when did he get hurt? Did anybody ever learn when Tyus Bowser really got hurt? What was his injury? No. Weird. Then the whole season, there was a question. Will he come back? Will he won't? Will he play? Will he won't? Is he ready? Is he close? And no real word on Tyus Bowser up until the point where he just missed the entire season. Weird, huh? Then uh, more weirdness. J.K. Dobbins was holding in or holding out, whichever one that it was. He was holding, right? Then he finally rejoins the team and he starts the season, and then he tears his ACL. He's gone again. More weirdness, right? It would have been better if he just held out. Think about, you can't make this stuff up. He's holding out or in, whatever it is, comes to the season, tears his ACL. It would have been better if he had just held out so he walks into this offseason healthy and looking for a contract. More weirdness. Okay, so you get into the season, and we're kind of doing our thing or whatever. Um, Rashad Bateman, comes out and says he didn't even know he was going to play this year. Odell Beckham right on schedule. He's in and out of the lineup early in the season. Um, Mark Andrews goes down. Um, misses the last, I guess, 8 weeks of the season. And the Baltimore Ravens can't figure out whether they're going to be a run team or a pass team early on in the year. They finally catch their grind, and get things in gear midway through the season, and they smashing teams, putting up big time points, right? Playing very 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 well, up until the point where we earned the number one overall seed. And then we show up in the divisional round of the AFC playoffs. Don't show up in the first half. Kind of weird, right? Because there's no reason why we wouldn't have shown up in the first half, with the exception of the Houston Texans were blitzing, as if we didn't know that they would blitz, because that's what people believe is Lamar Jackson's kryptonite. But we got it together and put up 34 points, which is the season average. We scored 34 against the Texans, basically all in the second half, with the exception of 10 points. but right on par with what we did in the regular season. Kind of weird, right? Then we roll into the uh the AFC Championship, and healthy as we can be, and right on schedule, we do something weird. We say, okay, Mark Andrews, let's insert you and kind of make Isaiah Likely a secondary thought when Isaiah Likely had developed a chemistry over the last 8 games that he had played. Weird, huh? And then we run the ball 16 total times, but only 11 or 12 call runs. Kind of weird, huh? And then for whatever the reason, Lamar Jackson would have green grass in front of him, but he wouldn't run. Kind of weird, huh? And then we learn that running the ball was the game plan, but we didn't run. Weird, huh? And then John Harbaugh gets on national television and says we need to run the ball in the second half, but we don't run the ball. Weird, huh? And then we get this press conference Friday that says we just couldn't get to running the ball. We just couldn't get around to it because we were in a 2-minute offense, basically from the end of the second quarter all the way through the end of the game. As if you can't run the ball um, in a 2-minute offense. Kind of weird, huh? You see, the weirdness of this whole season, with the good, the bad, and the weird, kind of affords us a little bit of how this season could end so weirdly because it started so weirdly. Another couple of things, another couple of nuggets that are weird. The Baltimore Ravens give Broderick Washington a contract who's not the level of player as Metabuke. I wonder, could that money that Broderick Washington is making be sent over to Metabuke or Metabike, however you want to pronounce it? Kind of weird, huh? And then the Baltimore Ravens don't pick up Patrick Queen's fifth-year option. And I don't know if it was too late or not, but I think they still could have this past offseason, but they didn't pick it up. And then Patrick Queen earns Pro Bowl honors, and now he's going to walk away. Kind of weird, huh? This whole season was filled with weirdness, things that just don't make sense, things that make you say, I wonder what weirdness we're going to see this offseason. I wonder how the Baltimore Ravens will approach free agency. I wonder how they will approach the draft. I wonder, will it be more weirdness or will things make more sense in 2024 than they did in 2023? Do me a favor, guys. Let me know what weird things you remember from the season because I'm sure I didn't hit all of them. Listen, I appreciate you guys for checking us out. Be on the lookout for our Super Bowl prediction and the post Super Bowl video as well. I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM. We're out.